Ravens general manager Eric DeCosta said he's definitely confident a contract extension can be reached with Lamar Jackson. What support does Jackson need more next season? Let's dive into what we think he needs next year. D. Wood, what fascinates you about the 2026 version of Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens?
Yeah, I just look at the relationship between Lamar Jackson and their new offensive play caller, 29-year-old Declan Doyle. This is his first time calling plays in the National Football League. We know the Ravens trying to work out a deal. Like, is Lamar Jackson going to show up to, like, the offseason program, OTAs, mini camps?
Historically, he has not.
Right. So I think that relationship, that's where it's going to start. So it'll be interesting to see how that gets going.
You know, we had a conversation earlier this morning, Dominique, about the clout that Josh Allen now seems to have in Buffalo. Is the situation in Baltimore similar with Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, I don't think he has quite as much as Josh Allen because of, like, the respect that I think Ozzie Newsome and DeCosta still have there, but he's getting close to it. And I think kind of the new free agency for big-time quarterbacks is this year in particular, like the balloon year of the cap hit. He has a $75 million cap hit. He obviously has the ability to tell the team to do just about anything right here, because if he were a true free agent, they could franchise him or something like that. But with this huge cap hit, they can't do much with the rest of the roster unless they bring that number down, which will require Lamar to agree to an extension. So he has all the power and leverage. Not that he wants to exercise it, but if there's something that he wants done, he can make it happen with that cap, threatening that cap hit to use it or to not extend to lower that hit.
We've been extremely accustomed to seeing Lamar Jackson and the Ravens winning everything there is to win in the regular season. Last year, obviously, for a variety of reasons, Harry, it didn't go right. They looked bad. He was hurt. He didn't look himself. Do you expect a full bounce-back treatment for the Ravens this year with the new coach?
Oh, 1,000%. I'm picking the Baltimore Ravens to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl this season. The best offseason
really? That's
move.
Your early pick. I haven't been here in a week, so I haven't heard you say that. This minute, you like the Ravens.
And it's because the best offseason move, in my opinion, was Jesse Minter coming back to that organization. Jesse Minter, as a defensive coordinator when he was with the Los Angeles Chargers, were able to find diamonds in the rough. It's a thing when you have the ability to help develop players and get the best out of those guys playing high-level football. Jesse Minter taking over this defense, back as the play caller, back as the overseer, I think it's going to put the Baltimore Ravens to win the AFC.
I will remind everybody, you were way ahead on the Denver Broncos. You were the one who said they were going to win that division months before last season started. So maybe you'll be right about this one as well. Let me go to the AFC North, stay in the division with the Browns general manager Andrew Berry indicating that Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson will be among those competing to be the starter next season. Obviously, they've had a lot of things going on there in Cleveland, and they have 2 first-round picks. Do we like, Dominique, the approach that they are taking? Deshaun, Shedeur, let them fight it out for the starting job in Cleveland.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. It's a very unusual quarterback room because could you imagine for a second that Deshaun Watson wins? He's in the last year of his deal also with an $85 million cap hit. If he wins and plays well, now you're signing Deshaun Watson to an extension to be one of the higher paid quarterbacks in the league. Like, I don't understand putting yourself in a situation where that's something that you would sign up for going forward. And then you have Shedeur with all the attention that comes with that. And presumably, if things don't go well, they're drafting another quarterback next year. The quarterback room in Cleveland is the most unusual and interesting one that I think we've had in the league in a long time.
So, yeah, look, I mean, the Deshaun Watson story is about so many things that have nothing to do with football, and they're extremely unpleasant. So much so that it feels like a different lifetime that we were talking about him as one of the genuinely great quarterbacks in the entire league, and he's still a lot younger than people. He was in the same draft class as Patrick Mahomes, so he's certainly not old. Is there a world in which Deshaun Watson recaptures some of that magic, and D. Wood reminds us all that he was at one point on a trajectory to being a very high-level player?
I just find it hard to believe. Last time we saw Deshaun Watson be good was like 2020. That's like a lifetime ago.
Right.
If you're talking about, in the National Football League. And may I remind people that all 5 starting linemen with the Cleveland Browns are free agents.
Is that a problem?
That is a huge problem.
Yeah.
Like, so as much as we talk about Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders, they have no offensive line in front of them right now. So Cleveland has his work cut out for it.
Yeah, go ahead, Harry.
I do like the fact that you're going to allow these guys to compete against one another and may the best man win. For Shedeur Sanders, it is about, though, in your second year, they want to see growth. You know, understanding the system, it's a new one, but the guy that's the head coach who potentially is going to call plays is a guy that wanted you in Baltimore. So just go in there, show that growth, understand the offense in and out, and go try to win this job. But I agree with Neek. If Deshaun Watson wins this job and balls out, that's a whole nother thing that you have to deal with if you're the Cleveland Browns.
Go ahead, Nick, finish it up.
Yeah, I just don't know that you want to be in a situation where you're making that decision. I think that the best possible thing is to go into this year with Shedeur Sanders as your starter, give him every chance possible to win that job, and then at the end of the year, then you're looking at next year's draft if it doesn't work out. If it does work out, then you're free of the Deshaun Watson contract. You have a young quarterback on a cheap contract, and you can try to build a winner.
Yeah, they've got the 2 first-round picks this year. The Raiders aren't giving up the first pick, so it doesn't feel like there's any real obvious move for them to make to change the quarterback there. I sort of agree with that. The Deshaun piece of it, I think, is fascinating just purely from a football perspective to see if there's still something left there, but I don't expect it any more than you do. We'll have much more football as we go. But
Big story here on SportsCenter. The Steelers are waiting to see if Aaron Rodgers wants to return for a 22nd NFL season, and they may not have to wait too long. Our Adam Schefter posting this morning that there's a belief that Rodgers will make his decision by mid-March. Schefter had more on his podcast on another potential destination for Rodgers this offseason.
If we go back to last year, he wanted to play in Minnesota.
I was going to say, is it Steelers or nobody else? And if it's somebody else, I remember the flirtation with Minnesota, and they are certainly looking for competition with J.J. McCarthy.
That's the interesting one to me, right? Like, I don't know how Aaron Rodgers feels, and I don't know exactly how the Vikings feel, and they didn't want to do that last year because I think they were being protective of J.J. McCarthy. Do they still feel the same way, or is Aaron Rodgers more in the conversation?
So many questions. That's why we now welcome in 12-year NFL veteran Damien Woody to the show. Damien, where do you think Aaron Rodgers should play next season?
I mean, it's the team that you were just talking about, the Minnesota Vikings. It just makes so much sense. You're talking about playing under a guy and a head coach in Kevin O'Connell who's one of the best quarterback whisperers, play callers that we have in the game. Obviously playing with one of the best wide receivers, arguably the best wide receiver in Justin Jefferson. Got a really good number 2 wide receiver, Jordan Addison. Just the infrastructure in Minnesota would allow Aaron Rodgers to try to go out there and have the type of success that he would want at this juncture in his career, and that's vying for a championship. So Minnesota makes a lot of sense for him.
Now, you mentioned Minnesota. Head coach Kevin O'Connell says that while he still thinks J.J. McCarthy is a franchise QB, quote, the timeline is in a different place for all of us, and it was back in 2024. So, Damien, do you agree with O'Connell's assessment of J.J. McCarthy?
Yeah, I mean, listen, those weren't glowing words by Kevin O'Connell. If I'm J.J. McCarthy, I would be kind of worried about that situation because, you know, at first it was talk about quarterback competition. But if you bring in a guy like Aaron Rodgers, there's no competition. Aaron Rodgers is going to be a starting quarterback in 2026. And so, listen, J.J. McCarthy spent a lot of time in the cold tub, and I don't know what his future holds for the Minnesota Vikings if you go out there and sign a guy like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, absolutely. From one quarterback situation to another, the Cardinals and Kyler Murray don't seem to be on the same page after 3-14 seasons.